I think people are thinking about this. Let's talk it out a little bit.
Let's talk it out.
Jeremy Fowler, ESPN, on 49er contracts. First of all, everyone's thinking about the Aiyuk one. Here's what he said about that.
Brandon Aiyuk's the big one. We know what the wide receiver market is now. It's looking at probably $30 million and above. And Aiyuk's considered a top 10 receiver now at this point by most in the league. Both sides have had negotiations, but it hasn't really graduated to something where it's going to get done and it's intensified. So they got the next 6 weeks over the summer before training camp to try to get it done, or he might not show up based on him not showing up to minicamp as a precedent.
Okay, so there's one which I don't think there's anything earth-shattering that we didn't largely already know. The Aiyuk thing, to me, it's June 10th. The 49ers are not motivated right now to meet Aiyuk's demands. I have every expectation that thing goes into August. But here's the new stuff, and here's what we want to run by you. Fowler said this, suddenly we got a new name. Aiyuk, McCaffrey, we know Purdy is next year. And then Fowler whips this out.
You see Trent Williams there, a left tackle, so he's got 3 years left on his contract, but there are whispers around some in the industry that he might want a new deal eventually. He's got the 3 years left. He's due $22 million in cash, but he is the best left tackle in the game still, 35 years old, so that could be a bit of an issue, but playing at a high level, 49ers might have to address that eventually.
Okay, Trent Williams, 35, 3 years left on his deal, and now that's a whisper? That the 49ers need to do something about that? I thought he was contemplating retirement a year and a half ago. Now with 3 years left on his deal, he wants something new or at least restructured?
Best lineman in the game.
He is.
Might be their best player. Hey, if I'm going to limp around, not remember names when I'm 55 and not be able to, you better pay me, damn it. If I'm going to be in a wheelchair when I'm 65 because my knees are shot and I can't remember my kids' names,
we laugh.
Pay me.
I mean, I get
pay me so they don't have to do this.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, I don't blame them a bit.
I mean,
let's go.
That's literally what Ephraim's line, same position as Trent Williams. His line always was, because he's got two boys and they're good athletes. Yeah. He says, I always tell them, I played football, so you don't have to.
You want Brock Purdy to stay alive? Pay him. Well, I'll pay him whatever. Maybe more than anybody we've talked about.
Fowler threw this in too. Hold on. Don't stop there.
George Kittle. So this is not a pressing need, but I was told that, this is a player who might need a new contract eventually or even this offseason because he's got 2 years left had he not had the core muscle surgery. So he is technically coming back from an injury, but he was the only tight end in the league with a 1,000-yard season. Still a big part of what they do, so they might have to pay him. A lot of major decisions coming.
Okay.
Pay them all. Pay them all, and then maybe one of them will punch their teammates in training camp.
Oh, you had to go there.
Had to.
You did.
Well, it sounds like things are changing a little bit.
with which team?
I don't know, maybe we're getting a little diva-y down there in Santa Clara, but they all want the piece of the pot, and they should. They're the best team in football.
What's your read on that? No, let's talk about that. The reaction to the fact that it sounds like everybody suddenly wants to get paid.
Right, because they know they're good.
Okay.
And they know they're going to win it all soon. And they want their piece of it.
Do they?
Well, if you have a good season, you want to be rewarded for it.
Sure.
Dusty Baker told me that he won a World Series and he went back the next year because he deserved to get paid for winning a World Series. You think I'm just going to retire after I win a World Series? No, I'm going to get paid for winning a World Series, which makes sense.
Yeah, but they didn't win the Super Bowl.
I know. In my mind, they did.
Well, I mean,
I put that all. I've did a lot of therapy for that game.
No, me too. But I don't know. I still feel like
really good.
There are a lot of people in the Bay Area I still talk to. They're almost like I can't. They're just people are not over it yet. I get it, but when you look at this situation, I think what you said just kind of it bears repeating because I actually don't think there's a huge difference between them winning that last game and losing that last game. There's nobody that's under the impression that they're, quote, not good enough.
You mean financially there's no difference between, how he should be rewarded with contracts financially?
No, meaning because I don't really look at it as a reward. I don't, that's a thank you contract. I think you try to avoid that whenever possible.
Dangerous.
They're very dangerous.
Very dangerous.
I mean.
You can paint yourself into a corner no matter what sport it is by thank you contracts. Because you get emotional. You win it all. You share feelings and emotions that you never have before. Families, front office, coaching staff. You're on the same plane. You're all traveling together. They bring them all in the locker room. You pour champagne down the crack of everybody's ass. And then all of a sudden, you're having like these feelings, and people get rewarded for the emotional contracts for winning. There's nothing like a parade. You get those rings, everybody's crying. You want that team and you want that feeling to be forever. And how do you make it forever? If you're president or an owner, you reward these guys with contracts. Then they get old and you're like, uh-oh.
Yeah. It's usually a terrible idea.
It's usually a terrible idea.
And front offices, I think, need to be very guarded. And the good ones are the ones, and by the way, the Niners, if you go back to the first time when they were really, really great, they were winners and they won Super Bowls and all that, like this was what I think they did really well. Think of how many in the history of that organization, how many unemotional decisions took place.
Right.
This team told Joe Montana to hit the road when he was still good.
Well, I think Farhan's calling on that one about Luis Matos.
Right? I mean, this team allowed Jerry Rice and Ronnie Lott and Roger Craig to all wear different uniforms, usually the Raiders. But they all wore different uniforms.
Well, you're right. And you should reward people for winning a championship, but you can't do it where you paint yourself into a corner.
Well, do you reward people for coming close to a championship?
Because you want to have another one and they're in their prime? Absolutely.
Well, that's what they did with Christian.
Another one. But you want to get to the top of the mountain, I should say.
You did that with Christian. You know, when I hear these two comments, it has set everybody, oh, God, now Trent Williams needs a deal too. George Kittle needs a deal. If you listen closely to what he said, he's not talking about this offseason for either of them. He openly says about Kittle next offseason. Trent Williams, there are whispers that something might need to happen at some point. He still has 3 years left on a deal. At most, what Trent is saying is the same thing Christian said, which is, so I'm kind of awesome. Might be nice if you tacked a couple bucks on or guaranteed this. And the Niners can do that. That doesn't actually cost that much money. The Christian thing opened up more money for the 49ers.
I'm seeing Buster Olney's tweeting right now that Jake Moody wants an extension. And he wants to get paid.
Buster Olney's Twitter has been hacked. And just within the last few hours, the Phillies traded for Luis Robert. Shohei Ohtani has been banned from baseball for life and is facing life in prison. And Francisco Lindor was traded to the A's. All of that has happened since we started the show. So that's exciting.
And then there's another tweet on Buster's thing. It says, do you want me to keep doing this, yes or no? So whoever hacked the account is like, but I thought if you click on it, then you might get hacked. So I didn't click on it.
I think they got it back.
Did they?
I'm on there now, and I'm not seeing any tweets within the last 20 hours or so. I'm not seeing anything in the last 20 hours. So I think they deleted them and they got hold of it again.
Wait,
which actually really bothers me. It really bothers me that if you're a celeb, like Twitter can show up in an hour and fix your feed. Matt Steinmetz's feed died and never was reborn again.
He does have 1 million followers.
Yeah, and
you don't like it, get some followers.
Yeah, you end up in the whole help column on Twitter.
Did you see this
and
one?
You get an email a week later that's like, too bad.
You see this one?
You scrub.
The season is canceled due to COVID at 5:12 p.m. Eastern today on Buster's account.
Perfect.
Shohei Ohtani banned for life. He's in prison. I Hate the Mets is on there.
I Hate the Mets. Yes, those are all on there.
Somebody from Philadelphia.
Perfect.
And that whoever did it is showing no shame.
Dude,
is that illegal? Can you go to jail for this?
For hacking a Twitter? Yeah. I mean,
what's
jail.
the penalty?
I don't know.
Is it just like frowned upon? Or is it like, is it a crime?
I think Elon Musk asks you who you're voting for and then goes from there.
I want to know what the crime is for hacking someone's social media platform.
It's way funnier to do what we used to do. People used to like radio hosts. You'd have someone who's on their Twitter feed, on the work computer, and they'd accidentally leave it open and end their show and roll out. And if it was kind of a rule at our station, if you walked in and sat down and someone else's Twitter feed was still open, open season.
Oh no!
Off you go. open season.
You remember back when they had cameras and you had to take them to get developed at like Walgreens to film?
Yes.
Yeah, and you took somebody's camera and did things, and then they would get surprised when they developed their pictures.
See?
I'm just sounding so old. The kids behind the glass are like, cameras? You had to get pictures developed.
Remember those little like houses that were in parking lots and you could drive up and get the camera developed? A little photo mat? Yeah. Anyway.